You may remember around this time last year I made a number of videos talking about if and when ADA could reach $1 per unit, and this was way back when the price was around 5 or 10 cents, and back when $1 was just a distant dream and something which seemed possible, yet so far away at the same time. And now we are here in 2021 and the unit price of ADA is around $1.10, maybe $1.15, and so many of the hopes and aspirations which we had for ADA have actually been realized. I remember when I bought my first ever ADA, I told myself that I was going to hold until the price hit $1, and that no matter how hard it would be or how long it would take, I'd stick it out. But the question which I have been asking myself, and which I'm sure that many of the other early investors will be thinking, is what happens next? Now that ADA has reached $1 per unit again, and now that we've made all of this money holding ADA, what does the future look like? And of course, as always, we have the short-term outlook and we have the long-term outlook. And if you've watched this channel before, you'll know that I'm a long-term investor, and I think that short-term price predictions are too hard to pin down. And that's because the short-term price is too dependent upon the news of the day, and to be honest, nobody knows what the headlines will be in a few months' time. And if I had to venture a guess, I'd say that the short-term price of ADA is likely to correct at some point. And I don't know whether that's going to be tomorrow, or whether the price will reach $5 or $10 before a correction. But in the long term, I for one think that the Cardano platform, and therefore the value reflected into ADA, will continue to rise. And hey, if you're enjoying this video so far and you're a Cardano fan or an ADA investor, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel as we have a lot more content like this on a daily basis, and you'd be helping me out a lot. Anyway, so we have Cardano smart contract services and the operations in the African market working towards supply chain application and voter identification systems and so on. And Africa is a huge source of potential growth and adoption, as we're talking about a continent which is home to 1.3 billion people and which has a median age of 19 years old. Meaning that the growth in GDP and the growth in business and the digital infrastructure in Africa is going to be huge over the next 5 years. And Cardano, I believe, are positioning themselves well to develop a very strong brand in the African market if they can keep up the current pace of innovation. And you know, a lot of people think that blockchain is this new internet technology which is limited to computer coders or software engineers, and that it has no real or practical application in other areas of industry, especially in the old world economy of physical goods and logistics and so on. But actually that isn't the case. Cardano are moving into the logistics business with a focus on the African market, and again one of the key areas that Cardano have decided to focus on is the coffee market in Ethiopia. The market for coffee is a very good place to start as it's evergreen and very stable and predictable, meaning that you can afford to take a long-term approach to investing into blockchain-based digital infrastructure. And you know that the market will be there, and you'll know what the market will look like in 10 years' time, and you'll know that people will still be drinking coffee. Anyway, Cardano are getting into the business of supply chain management, and they plan to use a decentralized ledger, which is a very helpful thing anywhere in the world, but especially helpful in many of the African countries, where they have relatively weak legal systems, and where most of the people operating in the industry won't have access to contract lawyers or anybody of that nature. And so by introducing decentralized supply chain systems, you're reducing the ability of any of the parties in a supply chain to cheat each other. And what's great about this is you're doing it without bringing in any expensive lawyers who charge $500 per hour and want to squeeze as much billable time out of each client as they can. A decentralized system incentivizes parties to treat each other fairly in the interest of long-term productive cooperation, because being decentralized means that everybody has access to pretty much the same information, which takes the profit incentive out of cheating the other guy by giving him less than the agreed quantity of product, or by giving him a product which has been stored in unsanitary conditions or which is beginning to go bad. And when you remove the incentive for bad behavior, you actually create an environment which facilitates good behavior which is mutually beneficial and which people have a good reason to want to adopt and use. And bear in mind that this is just one market in one country on a continent with 54 countries and 1.3 billion people. And so looking at how Cardano could disrupt the market for coffee in the way that supply chains are operated and run, they could apply the same operational principles to almost any physical good. And by the way, this isn't the only source of value which Cardano and ADA have as well, and we will be discussing the other sources in other videos, so if you're not yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe for those videos. Thanks for watching.